Hello, this video is made so you can gain knowledge and hopefully learn how to be your own advocate during your health journey of trying to figure out what's going on in your body. My story is about how it took 7 years for doctors to finally come up with a diagnosis of what's been happening in my body. So let's talk about lupus. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that attacks your body. It attacks your organs, it attacks your skin, your hair, any organ in your body, heart, lung, stomach, intestines, and just skin, hair, kidneys, anything and everything in your body is able to be attacked by this lupus. What lupus does is attacks your healthy cells, so it's basically invading your body to attack whatever healthy cells you have for whatever reason. I myself have recently been told that my body's behaving like lupus now, meaning that it's in my blood work now, and meaning that the way that my body, the flares that I have in my body now are what lupus patients would have now. So I'm being treated like I do have lupus, and we'll get back into that later. So my story starts in 2014. It was right before Thanksgiving, and I'm looking at my computer notes here because my cognitive is kind of off, and so I forget things. In 2014, right before Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday, I started getting sick. I had aches and pains in my, I think at that time was in my left side, like middle area, like where your kidneys would be. And I had frequent urination, and I just was achy and wasn't feeling good. I thought I had fever that time. I went to urgent care, and they did some tests, and they said, well, it looks like you might have had a kidney stone that passed. Your kidneys are showing like there was something there, so we're just going to treat it like it was kidney stones, take some ibuprofen, and have a good day. Well, that was like a week before Thanksgiving. During Thanksgiving week, I was still sick and not feeling good. And so I think they gave me something strong to take. So I was completely out of it. I'm trying to control the pain. It didn't go away for, I don't think ever. It didn't go away for years. Fast forward to 2000, also in 2014, I had white patches throughout my skin. They were mostly on my legs and on my arms and on my chest. And there were just like white patches on my skin that, I don't know where it came from. They weren't itchy, they were just white patches. 2015, it was our 10-year anniversary, and my husband and I renewed our wedding vows. But also in 2015, that's when I started experiencing a lot of stomach issues. And I mean, everything and anything you can experience with stomach issues, you name it, I had it. So I was throwing up all the time. I had constant diarrhea. I had constant constipation. I had several tests done. So they did endoscopy, colonoscopy. They had me swallow a camera pill at one point to kind of take pictures as it's going down my intestines. They diagnosed me with IBS and colitis, and they pulled out some polyps, but nothing major. But so they couldn't really figure out what was going on still, or what was causing my stomach to act up. At the same time, I had discovered a rash on my ring finger, and it was like a blistery red rash that kind of went all around my ring finger, and it was swollen, and I couldn't fit my I remember it was right before we renewed our wedding vows, and that's when I went back to urgent care, and I said, I need this fixed because we're renewing our vows. And so my ring finger wouldn't fit anymore. So they prescribed some creams. The creams didn't work. Eventually it healed enough for me to be able to wear my ring for the renewal, but then I had to take it off immediately because it was still swollen. So that in 2015-16, I started working at a middle school, high school, private school. And that was a little stressful for me because it was an hour drive to and from work, sitting in traffic. But during that time, I had more stomach issues going on, and this time it's both sides, so left and right side. I also had some menstrual issues, so at that time I was bleeding for one time I was bleeding for about a month, and they couldn't figure out why. So they did an ablation. We tried to control the bleeding. They thought maybe the fibroid had grown. I had a uterine fibroid. They thought the fibroid had grown significantly enough to maybe press on something to cause the bleeding. And it was just, that was a stressful time. My son was a senior in high school. My husband had left the country for work. He went to Amsterdam. So that was definitely a stressful time for me. So my body was going through a lot of stress in itself. 2016, my daughter started, I think it was her freshman year, maybe it was her sophomore year. She was having issues with church, and she was having issues in high school. And so another stressful year for me, because, you know, as a mom, you're just stressed out with the kids. When they're stressed out, our van broke down on the freeway. One of my children got in a fight in school and got suspended that year. So also a stressful year. Mind you, it wasn't his fault when he got suspended, and that fight wasn't his fault. So we were able to get that off his record. But so 2015, 2016, stressful. 2017, I remember we had a trip to Tahoe, and I had a glass of wine that night, and then I had, like, I don't remember what it was, a bowl of chili for dinner, and my stomach was not happy. I was throwing up all night that night, and we couldn't figure out why. The next morning I woke up completely fine. And the throwing up episodes happen to me quite often, and we can never figure out what triggered it or what happened or why I'm so sick. But then the next day it goes away like nothing ever happened. So 2017, I remember we went to the middle school that I worked at. We had a summer or a spring camp program that we went to. And I just remember being so tired that time, and just lethargic. And throughout these years, 15, 16, and 17, like, everything was absolutely like a blur. Like, I was so tired all the time. I don't remember, like, my son's junior year, senior year. I don't remember, just because I was tired and out of it, and always, like, in and out of being sick, and just tired all the time, and so many stomach issues. May 2017, one of my sons got meningitis, so we spent 5 days in the hospital with him. Also stressful, trying to figure out how he got it. Does anybody else have it? How do I get him better? So he was sick for quite a while. Trying to get him to get back to normal kind of took a toll on my body. So I was fatigued and hurting and achy, but, you know, had to keep pushing through because you're a mom, you can't stop doing anything. 2017, we had our daughter's sweet 16. I'm sorry, July 2017, we had her sweet 16, and financially we were in a stable place. So already my mind and body was going crazy. During that time, I did have a rash, like, across my face, and I remember trying to cover it up during the party. So we had a big party for her, and the planning of the party was intense. My body was extremely exhausted and super achy. At that time, my fingers were, they would get a rash, and then the skin of my fingers, these two fingers, would completely peel off, and it would peel off about 3 layers of my skin, leaving it completely raw. So I remember when we were trying to decorate her hall, and we were peeling the tape off. The tape was literally peeling off the skin off my fingers. So stressful, also a stressful time. And my body again was going through just fatigue, body aches, rash throughout my body. So my hand, my face at that time, my hair was falling out. August 2017, we went to San Diego, and that time I remember my skin was still peeling on my hand, and I was thinking, I remember trying to figure out, like, something's really going on, and I have to get this checked out. So I did reach out to a dermatologist at that time. And also in that time I was setting up, I had quit my my middle school, high school job, and I was going to teach preschool, and I was setting up my classroom, and I just remember not feeling good, just overwhelmed with starting a new job, and just my body was not accepting the change, the new stress. So it was causing my body to not like me. So my bones were achy, my skin kept falling off my fingers, hair was falling off, and everything was still a blur to me. 2017, we moved to our house now that we live in currently. And the drive to work was almost 45 minutes to an hour. And that drive in the morning, we had to leave about 6:30, was exhausting. And we wouldn't get home till about 6:30 or 7 from work, and picking up the kids from wherever they were at that time. And just a lot of exhaustion happened. Excuse me, as soon as I would get home from work, I would be extremely tired, cranky, tired, and achy, super achy. At that time, I had lost a lot of weight. I think I lost about 10 or 15 pounds. I'm 4'11" and a half, and the most I've weighed in ever is probably 125 on a normal weight. I had gotten down to about 110 pounds, and just looked super sick. I might try to post some pictures. Just looked sick, and couldn't figure out what was causing the weight loss. The GI doctors, my stomach doctors, couldn't figure out what was causing the weight loss. We had tried different stomach medicines to try to control my stomach pains so I could eat, so I could stop throwing up. And so different medicines were tried, and nothing was controlling the stomach pain and the stomach issues that I was having. In July 2018, I had to have my gallbladder removed because I had some inflammation in my gallbladder. So they think that my gallbladder was starting to act up the prior years before that, and that was starting to fail me. So they pulled the gallbladder out. After they removed the gallbladder, I did feel better. I was able to eat more foods without pain and issues. And to this day, I can eat pretty normal now without any stomach pains, unless it's meat. I don't eat meat. Unless it's meat or gluten or dairy. My stomach doesn't accept those things. 2000, so I got my gallbladder removed. 2018, I was still losing weight, so I was still trying to figure out how to gain my weight back and look healthy again. So I was still losing weight in 2018. Still not feeling good body-wise, but trying to figure out the foods that I can and cannot eat so I can get my weight back. In 2018 of October, I had gotten sick. That was a sick year for my daycare kids, the classroom that I worked with. All the kids were getting sick, and I had caught a cold, and that cold lasted for me from, I want to say, September all the way through the end of October, and I lost, probably mid-November. I had lost my voice completely, and I was still going to work. At one point, my boss was like, "What's going on? Like, why are you here at work if you're so sick?" And I said, "I'm not sick. I feel great. It's just, it's all in my throat and in my chest, and there was no mucus. It's just, I had no voice. I had no voice, but I had like bone pain and neck pain at that time." So I never got better from a cold. I had gone to the doctors. They ran some tests of they did a couple of blood work, and it looked normal to them, and they didn't know why or what was happening either, and they just gave me some cough syrup and hoped that that got better, and some albuterol and an inhaler, but albuterol liquid that went into the nebulizer. So I was doing breathing treatments, and that helped, and it eventually cleared up. And let's see, January 2019. So I actually had to have a hysterectomy, and I had my whole uterus removed. And during that time, I also got my bladder lifted and put in the correct spot, because after they remove your uterus, they kind of fix everything in there to keep it in place. And so during that time, I also developed an infection because I had to wear a catheter for a week after surgery. So the catheter got infected. And then I had protein in my urine and I had blood in my urine, and they couldn't figure out what happened. And so they did a flush of the system of my catheter and gave me antibiotics and sent me on my way in the ER. And it did get better. I got better and continued with the healing of the hysterectomy and felt pretty good pretty quick after the antibiotics. And that was in January. In February, I got licensed to open up my daycare in my home. And that was a little stressful too. During this time, I was watching one child in my home, and that was easy for me, being that I used to be a preschool teacher and worked in a middle school, high school. And so having one child at home was fun. It was easy, not very stressful, but opening the daycare in itself, the paperwork and having licensing come and check, all of that was stressful. So my body was still trying to adjust from, number one, the hysterectomy, and number two, dealing with trying to open a daycare in your home at the same time. So my body didn't like that process. What else? Also, so that was January, February license. In April was my niece's. We threw a quinceañera for my niece here at the house, and just achy, all these moments and all these dates that I'm giving you are just to kind of give you a timeline of the stress level and then the achiness. So I was achy during the quinceañera, but pushed through. So my mindset is, if I keep myself busy and my mind busy, it takes the thoughts off of the pain. So the more I'm doing, the less I'm sitting thinking, oh my gosh, everything hurts, or what hurts, or what's going to happen now. So my thought process kind of lessens, and then I can be productive in having a quinceañera for my niece, or whatever the planning was. So in June of that year, 2019, was also my daughter's graduation, and that was a little sad, but we got through graduation. July 2019. I started to develop these weird allergic reactions to the sun. So I'll post some pictures. My lips would swell up. I would have white patches that eventually peeled or itched or welted up. Same with my face. I'd have a couple of white patches on my face that would get itchy. My top of my feet, if I'm wearing flip-flops or sandals and I'm in the sun, they also develop a rash that is super itchy and sensitive and eventually peels. I also get super sick in the sun now. This is when I learned in this July 2019. So if I'm in the sun, I will get super tired and super nauseous, and my stomach will start to hurt, and I feel lightheaded and dizzy. And this happens if I'm in the sun for anything more than 5 minutes. So I didn't realize or understand what was happening then until I was testing it out to see what was going on. And then when the lips, and I also had, it doesn't grow back anymore. There was a patch here that would fall out in the sun if I was in the sun, and left like a little bald spot there now. So I went to the dermatologist. He actually did a biopsy on my fingers, and he tried new creams on my face, and he told me I'm allergic to the sun, to stay away from the sun, that it looks like my body's actually reacting like I have lupus. So lupus patients have to stay out of the sun. So the creams helped, and then I have to wear mineral-based sunscreen on my face and body, and sunscreen protected clothing if I want to be out in the sun. So that was a little sad to learn that I had to stay out of the sun because I love the sun. That was July. In August 2019, I learned that my dad was in the hospital dying. We had an estranged relationship, so that was still hurtful and sad to learn that he was in his deathbed and I had to go say goodbye. But that week of the hospital stay with him, or that he was in the hospital, my body was starting to go into a flare. And then I learned that flares come during stressful times. So that was a emotional time for me. And sorry. And so I learned that I had to accept what was happening and kind of let my body deal with the flare, because it was going to flare up. Okay, sorry. And so what a flare looks like for me is the achy bones, the achy muscles, or I get muscle shocks or muscle cramps. My hair falls out. I get a red rash around my face. Sometimes it's on my lips, and my lips swell up, or the skin peels off. Most recently, a flare for me includes my lungs, or my lining around my lungs is, and also my kidneys. So my kidneys, I do have blood in my urine, and so that means they're keeping an eye to make sure the lupus doesn't go into my kidneys. So they're keeping an eye out for protein in my urine. So far, no protein, thank God. And okay, so in 2019 of September, I broke my foot. This was like nonstop for me. I broke the top of my foot. So the injury to my foot caused my body to go into like a shock, and having to wear a casted boot on my foot. I was, I was overworking the rest of my body because I couldn't put weight on one foot. And so the rest of my body hated me for it. So that was September. I also turned 40 that September of 2018, and I learned that I'm allergic to white fish. So I had a full-blown allergic reaction the first time I had white fish, which I hadn't had in quite a while apparently. So I ate this fish and thought, and immediately I couldn't clear my throat. I was nauseous. I kept trying to catch my breath. I had a major head. This was like 10 minutes after I ate the fish. Major headache, dizzy, lightheaded, weak. All these things happened fairly quickly until we got a hold of the Benadryl. The Benadryl kind of relaxed my body, and histamines, I guess, that went around through my body. The next day I went to the doctors because I didn't know what was happening. I thought it was an allergic reaction, so we did the Benadryl. The Benadryl worked. We went to the doctors the next day, and they said, no, for sure you were having an anaphylactic shock, and that I needed to go to the ER and all this stuff. And I had to have an EpiPen. But since then I have stopped eating meat in general, because now not only am I allergic to that fish, I also am super sensitive to shrimp. Shrimp makes my stomach irritated. So I try to stay away from meat as best as I can now. And let's see, in 2000, recently, my flares have increased in pain and duration. So they, I just got put back on medicine a couple months ago, but before that, my flares were lasting up to 2 weeks. And the pain of everything that was happening was increased way more than from where it started from. But now with the medicine, they're lasting about 5 days, and it's helped tremendously. The medicine that I'm on currently is Plaquenil and azathioprine, also known as Imuran. The azathioprine is what's actually helping me. The Plaquenil is just like a balloon medicine that's supposed to keep my organs and everything safe from the lupus attacking it. The Imuran is helping control the the flares and helping control the pain levels. So it's supposed to take my 10 to a 5. So it's helping. I'm on almost 2 months of Imuran, and I definitely see a difference in my skin and in my face. The rash is still there, but it's pretty cleared up. The pain in my joints, we're still working on that. The pain in my muscles, we're still working on that. The flares are lessened, so from 2 weeks to 5 days, which is good, but we're still working on that. So if this medicine does not help completely help alleviate more of the aches and pains, the next step would be to include Benlysta, which is an infusion. We're hoping that it doesn't come to that. And if we don't do the Benlysta, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, we have to consider a different type of medicine other than the azathioprine. And the other type of medicines are Cellcept or methotrexate, which are considered chemotherapy medicine. Also don't want to do that. So that's pretty much my story. I did not start with the day that I noticed something was wrong. It was literally something that woke me out of the night. So let's talk about that a little bit. So back in 2000, I think it was 2014 when this all started, I was woken up in the middle of the night with severe, and I mean severe, thigh muscle Charlie horse pain. And it was so severe that I thought it was just a Charlie horse, like when you're pregnant and you get the muscle cramps on the back of your thighs. I thought it was something like that on top of my thigh. So I tried to massage it out, and this was like maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. I tried to massage it out, and then I was able to go back to sleep, and then it woke me up again, and it was like squeezing my thigh. And I remember I sat up in the bed and I was rubbing my thigh, and I couldn't get the pain to stop it was probably like 10 minutes. So then I couldn't feel my right leg. And then I couldn't feel my leg anymore. And so I got up to try to walk off, thinking maybe my leg just fell asleep. And as I was up trying to walk it off, the cramping just got more intense. And so I sat on the floor and I tried to walk it off, and I couldn't walk anymore. So I thought I was gonna like fall out because I couldn't walk. So I sat myself on the floor and started rubbing my leg, but now I couldn't get back up. So I remember being in the hallway calling for my husband to come because I couldn't get up and I couldn't walk, and my leg was dead, dead and in pain. And so we went to the ER. They did some tests, and I was fine. I was checked for MS. A lot of this process through all these months, all these years. I saw a neurologist. I saw 4 rheumatologists. I've had MRI, CAT scans. You name the test, I've had it. I've had a gazillion blood tests done. I kept changing rheumatologists because for several reasons. So our insurance kept changing, new jobs, new insurance, and some of the rheumatologists that I had were literally just sit in the office. Like, that's not even lying. You're too young to be sick. Okay, well, I don't feel good. My body hurts, it's aching, so can you fix me? And a lot of them were very dismissive, didn't want to spend time, or they'd come in and spend like 5 seconds with me and then walk away and be like, try some Tylenol. Okay, that's not gonna help. So I had to like pretty much advocate for myself and be like, hello, I think this is wrong with me. And so they check that and they'll say, oh yeah, you're right. And if I felt like I had to like keep pushing, like maybe this is wrong with me, and if I had to keep telling them what was wrong with me and them having to check, well, maybe let's check what you said, like that's one too many, like you're not doing your job, I'm out. And so I definitely advocated for myself to help me, like I need help, and I cannot continue to live in pain. Like, I need you to help me figure out what's wrong with me. So some doctors were helpful, but one doctor in particular, it was in Kaiser, he was like super helpful in the beginning, let's try steroid shots in your back to kind of help relax your body, da da da. Those things helped. Great. He did an ANA test on me. It came back, okay, an ANA test, first of all, if it comes back super high, like higher than 80, that means you're positive. So mine came back 1,280. That was the highest that it can go. He didn't say anything about it, do anything about it, or cared about it. He was like, that just means you have a positive ANA. No, that doesn't just mean that. That means there's something wrong in my body. That means my autoimmune or my antibodies in my body are going crazy. What's causing them? He didn't want to look into it. So he diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. Great. What do we do about that? Do physical therapy? No, that's not going to help my body. Sorry. So then the next rheumatologist I went to, he was a little bit more helpful. He kind of kept an eye on it, but he also was like, I think it's fibromyalgia mixed with connective tissue. So let's just kind of keep an eye on your symptoms. I don't want to keep an eye on my symptoms. Something's happening right now. Like I need to live and I need something to help me live. And I also need an answer. Well, also wasn't very helpful. And he started to kind of push my appointments out further and further while I was still having what we call now flares. And I guess my flares weren't exciting enough for him, so he wasn't very helpful. The doctor I have now, I found on my own. It's with Stanford. I asked my last doctor at Sutter Health to refer me out to Stanford because I feel like I need more help. And so they did, and I'm glad they did because he ran his own set of blood work, and his blood work immediately he was able to find the blood work from the previous doctors, and those blood work revealed some things to him that the other doctors weren't even like piecing things together. They were just guessing from their own appointments and their own records that they had. This other doctor was able to pull records from everybody, and so he was able to see what blood work looked abnormal at that time. And so he was very helpful, and he's actually the one that said your connective tissue is now turning into lupus because of the blood work that because of what my blood work is currently showing. And so my dermatologist also mentioned that he's always believed that I had lupus because of how the rash is presenting itself. So here we are. That's my story. That's how it all started. And all this to say for you guys to kind of, if you're going through a rough time, month, years, however long it's taken for doctors to diagnose you. I know a diagnosis is important because you don't want to feel like you're crazy, or you don't want to feel like nothing's wrong with you, right? Or that it is just fibromyalgia. Can you imagine if I just sat on that diagnosis? And when I say just fibromyalgia is still huge, and we tried medicine to help my fibromyalgia if that's what I had. And they tried gabapentin or triptyline. They tried different stuff on me, that Lyrica, different stuff that literally made me crazy. And I was having nightmares, and my body I did not have fibromyalgia. And so my body was not healing itself the way that it should have, or controlled the brain signals that's misfiring from fibromyalgia. That wasn't happening with me. So that was a misdiagnosis. So be your own advocate. Find the right doctor that's going to suit you, and get support from family, friends, and try to lower your stress levels, because the things that you eat and the stress in your life do cause the flares. So maybe I'll make a video of my diet and what I had to change, but this video is hopefully to help you help yourself, help your doctor. And if you don't feel like you're being helped or given the tools or the things that you need to help you feel better, you have the right to be like, peace out, I'm out, I need help, and you're not helping me. So Anyways, thank you guys for listening. That's my story. I hope this helps you, even if it just helps one person. I hope it helps somebody. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.